It's 8 o'clock. This is the UK Tonight. Coming up, Sky News identifies a possible new suspect in the killing of a British man on holiday on the Greek island of Zante. 35-year-old Matt Jeffery was on a stag-do when he was punched and killed outside a nightclub in the town of Laganas in 2019. Greek authorities say two men from Essex were the attackers, but now our investigation has highlighted a series of failings and a man who has potentially evaded justice for years.
Were you involved in the fatal assault of Matt Jeffery, Mr. Locke? Can I give you this? Mr. Locke, can I give you this? Is that you? Is that you? Were you involved in the assault of Matt Jeffery? Mr. Locke, can you take this?
Coming up, we'll speak to Matt Jeffery's wife, Charlotte, as she continues to search for answers. Also ahead tonight, Barnet Council apologises for their handling of a young woman who died just days after leaving their care. 18-year-old Nonita Gravoskite took her own life after being failed by the authorities who were supposed to be looking after her. Now the leader of her local council says lessons must be learned. Plus, the Defence Secretary warns a Russian spy ship is on the edge of UK waters and says Britain is ready to respond. We'll have the latest. And the celebrations are continuing for the Tartan Army after Scotland secured a place in their first World Cup in 28 years. We'll speak to both a player and a fan who were there the last time they made it back in 1998. Well, that's come and much more on the UK Tonight. Matt Jeffery was punched and killed outside a nightclub on the Greek island of Zante back in 2019. For 6 years, police have maintained that two men from Essex were the attackers. They were arrested and later convicted. But now a Sky News investigation has identified a possible new suspect, a man who has potentially evaded justice for years. Our home editor, Jason Farrell, has been looking into what happened that night. He's uncovered a series of police and prosecution failings, as well as a family desperately waiting for justice. This is Jason's report.
This is seconds before a fatal punch caught on camera. The victim, 35-year-old Matt Jeffery, an AA man, husband, father. His family have waited 6 years for justice.
I know a lot of people say it, you know, when people die, how amazing people were, but he genuinely was like the most amazing human being. He really was, you know, one in a million.
It happened in May 2019 on a nightclub strip on the party island of Zakynthos, known as Zante. Matt was here on a stag-do with his friends from Somerset. He wasn't initially involved when a fight broke out in a club called Sizzle, all captured on CCTV. Friends on the stag talked me through it.
Yeah, that's you in the...
I'm here with the white sleeveless vest.
Yeah.
I then see this guy jump over my shoulder who's working behind the bar. So I follow him in to try and mediate and to pull people apart.
Matt's group leaves quickly, but the others, a group from Essex, seen with their shirts off, follow them out. We've obtained video footage from someone who was outside the club.
The footage, which was filmed exactly at this spot, we're not showing in full at the request of Matt Jeffery's family. But in it, he's clearly stood with his arms open wide, not posing a threat.
Not at all. If you want it, they all seen it, mate. They all seen it.
When he is slapped in the side of the head by someone standing here, and then almost immediately punched in the face, falling back, and then the two assailants walk off at first and then run off up the street.
I didn't see the punch. I saw as Matt hit the deck. The sound that I heard will never leave me.
Matt was airlifted to hospital but died of multiple head injuries.
You don't realise how fragile life is until something like this happens. Like, 1 minute someone's there, next minute they're gone, and it only takes one punch.
Two men, Luke Brownston and Adam O'Brien, were charged, released on bail and 4 years later convicted of manslaughter and given 12 and 10-year sentences. But they didn't turn up to court in Patras on the Greek mainland. Only after we began investigating 6 years after the attack did Greek police issue extradition papers for one of the men, Luke Brownston, the man who threw the fatal punch. He was then arrested in Essex. But what of Adam O'Brien? Well, he had claimed in a court statement that he didn't hit Mr. Jeffery. It was another man in his group called William Locke. We've seen a photo in Sizzle, date stamped on the night of the attack. In it, Adam O'Brien is wearing dark shorts, even though the police identify him as this man wearing white shorts. The shot inside Sizzle shows William Locke wearing white shorts. And there's another photo of him from the trip wearing them again. There's a thin black piping down the side. They look like the ones worn by the assailant in the video. Extradition lawyer Karen Todner now represents Adam O'Brien.
I think the main failing was that the Greek police failed to take witness statements from any of the group. By not taking those witness statements, they allowed William Locke to leave, and the fact is they got the wrong guy.
But this is Mr. Locke, according to witness statements from 4 of the Essex group gathered by Karen Todner. And there's a facial mapping expert report, where the man in the video is called Person Y and compared to photos of Mr. Locke. It finds skin tone, build, forehead height and slope all similar. Brow ridge, eyebrows, nose root, similar. It says, I conclude there is strong support to the contention that Person Y and Mr. Locke are the same person. But with O'Brien, he says there is strong support that Person Y and Mr. O'Brien are not the same person. This evidence was rejected on appeal last December, although Adam O'Brien's sentence was downgraded, and it does raise questions for the family.
We wouldn't want an innocent person to go to prison for a crime they haven't done. And we can only hope that if they've got the ability to clear his name, then they can get the correct person convicted for assisting in this crime.
William Locke lives in Colchester and has never been questioned about the attack.
We've come to Colchester really just to give this to William Locke and put to him these allegations that he is this man. I want to ask you about the death of Matt Jeffery. Were you involved in the fatal assault of Matt Jeffery, Mr. Locke? Can I give you this? Mr. Locke, can I give you this? Is that you? Is that you? Were you involved in the assault of Matt Jeffery? Mr. Locke, can you take this?
We've approached police in Zante with our evidence and had no response. Luke Brownston has not responded and awaits extradition proceedings.
Can I give you this?
Adam O'Brien hasn't spoken to us, but his parents in a statement insisted he was wrongly convicted while expressing sympathy to the Jeffery family.
Everyone needed a Matt Jeffery because he was just so kind. He was hardworking. He loved me and the girls, his family, his friends.
We have pictures in our houses, we have pictures in our head, you know, of him, fun-loving Matt and his smile. Which brings us back to how badly he's missed. For something so unnecessary.
Jason Farrell, Sky News.
Well, earlier on today, I sat down with Matt's wife, Charlotte, after she'd watched Jason's reports. And I started by asking her how she first heard about what had happened to her husband on that day back in 2019.
I think he had texted me that morning on Thursday when they arrived safe and sound, and then I didn't hear from him again for the rest of the day because I kind of just left him to it. He was with his friends and was hoping he was having a good time. I then received a phone call at about 11 o'clock that evening to say that he had, been assaulted and he was in a coma. We then couldn't get a flight until, I think it was the following day, it was probably in the afternoon, and we didn't arrive in Greece until late that evening. So it's probably nearly 24 hours after it happened that we were actually by his bedside.
And Charlotte, I can only imagine how difficult it was to travel out there knowing only the scarcest of details as to what happened to Matt. Can you talk to me about what happened when you arrived at the hospital? Because I would imagine for you, as Matt's wife, that was perhaps the most difficult point of all of this.
We were aware that he was in a coma, so we knew it was serious. However, I never actually imagined on the way over that he wasn't going to survive. when we arrived at the hospital, it was pretty deserted. There wasn't, we couldn't find any staff around. We couldn't read any of the signs because it was all in Greek, so we had absolutely no idea where we were going, and we ended up having to ask a patient that was wandering around in one of the corridors as to how to get to the intensive unit. So I don't know how long it took us to find where we were going, and we were greeted by some staff who took us directly to a side room. We didn't even go and see Matt straight away, and they were quite blunt with how, they were very professional in what they were saying, but they kind of gave it to us there and then to say that they didn't think that he was going to survive his injuries, and we had to start thinking about organ donation.
Sadly, Matt didn't survive his injuries, and as a grieving family, you're also given the difficult task in trying to find out what happened to him, trying to find those responsible, and getting justice for your husband. And in those early stages, the police investigation seemed to be moving at pace and going in the right direction.
Yes, while we were over there, we had been informed by the British Embassy, I believe, that 2 men had been arrested, and we were told there and then that they would remain in custody until a court date. They were held and then released. They had to wait to see what the outcome was with Matt. So once he had passed away, they could then be formally charged. They were charged, and then we found out from the press that they were then on a flight home the following day.
You then had to pick up this fight for justice yourself as a family. Talk me through that, because you actually had to set up a crowdfunder to get your day in court.
So we had to pay for the court proceedings privately as a family. 1 or 2 of our friends and family had suggested setting up a GoFundMe page because everybody at the time wanted to help. So it was suggested that, maybe they could help us raise the money to pay for it. So I put that out online, only expecting to have raised maybe £1,000 or £2,000, to support the cost, because we also didn't know how much it was going to cost at the time. And we managed to raise about £16,000, which helped towards the cost of the first court proceedings to pay for the lawyer.
Did you have any help from the UK authorities at this point?
No, we haven't had any at all.
No. Does that need to change?
I think so, yes, because, if I personally didn't deal with any of the court proceedings, the lawyers, and if it hadn't been for Matt's brother James and the support that he had, I would have had absolutely no idea what route to have gone down. And, we did, I have to say, we did have a visit from the local, from the police at one point, but basically he came over here to tell me that there's nothing that they could do, and they would only really step in if the men didn't turn up to court, and then the warrant was out for their arrest. But when it comes to appointing a lawyer, sorting out all the legal proceedings, we had no support at all.
I know that this is something that you really feel passionately about in terms of lads' holidays abroad, and I think Jason in his documentary said, spirits are high, inhibitions are low, and we know that blokes getting scraps on lads' holidays. But given what happened to Matt, it's something that you want to talk about and warn people of the dangers of.
We all get angry, but, violence isn't the answer. If you've got anger issues, reach out, get yourself some help, speak to somebody, because 9 times out of 10, if you punch someone, they will get back up again, but you have got that slim chance that they won't get back up again. Not only you're ruining their lives, you're ruining their families' lives, their friends' lives, but also in your own life, your friends' families. It's such a knock-on effect, it's such a big ripple effect, and it just causes a lot of pain and devastation. So just think twice, before you go out and throw that punch.
What was your reaction when you found out the extent of the police failings, much of which is laid out in black and white in Jason's documentary?
just very shocking because you kind of leave it in their hands and you feel that they're doing everything correctly and everything that they possibly can. It's mind-blowing, really. And it's cost a lot of time and it's cost a lot of money.
Talk to us about Matt and what you want to do in his name and the justice you're seeking for him.
As you've seen in the report and everybody that knew him, he was just amazing. He was kind, he was gentle, he was hardworking, he would help anybody out. I mean, he was either at work on the side of the road fixing people's cars. He was very hands-on husband and father. He did all the jobs around the house. He helped friends in need, and it wasn't just with their cars. He was prone to be known to be like laying laminate flooring in his parents' house and his friend's house. He was, putting up fence panels. He was very hands-on, very active, and and like I said before, he loved me and the girls so much.
Charlotte, Jeffrey's talking to me a little earlier. Jason is here. We brought you his report at the top of the programme, to which Charlotte was reacting. An incredible composure, strength and dignity, really, from Charlotte. I know you've spoken to her at length about what happened to her husband, Matt. And just her reaction to the incredible failings, some of which she knew, some of which she was going through for the first time through your report. Police failings such as a man is killed and witnesses and suspects allowed to leave the island and return to the UK.
Yeah, I think, and look, yeah, absolutely testament to this family and the friends who've helped us compile this report, who were there, who've had to relive what they went through, and the family have gone, talked through all the things that they've gone through. And it really does show how they have pulled together, and really is them who has made this happen and paid for it to happen through the courts and got the justice as much as they have thus far for Matt. But when we came to this, the original failing was actually these two guys were still walking free, and that the extradition papers hadn't been filed 2 years after the trial. So that was the thing that brought us into it. But then what we discovered were all these other failings. Like you say, the fact that the two suspects were allowed to leave the island was one, but then also that they were there with a group, there were 7 of them there. They only interviewed the 2 suspects. They didn't interview any of the other group to say, have we got the right people? And one of them, we're saying there was strong evidence to suggest it might have been him, was on a plane getting off the island. So firstly, they didn't do that. But secondly, we see that they've got this video. I mean, they've got everything they needed. They had a CCTV of the build-up in the club. They could see what led to what happened. And then you didn't need forensics. You didn't need, a very really deep forensic investigation into what happened because it's captured on video. And you can see the faces of the people and the physique of the people and what they're wearing. And they appear to have not corroborated that with doing, for example, an identification parade with, here's the guys who we suspect it is. So that seemed extraordinary that they did that. And then to, of course, have them in custody. And then they have this police statement saying that they've confessed. Both of them have confessed. But very clearly in the court documents, you can see that one of them, Adam O'Brien, is saying in police custody, it's not me. So where this confession comes from, we don't know, because it's not written down anywhere. It's just a police officer saying it. So there were all sorts of suspicions around this. And then finally as well, the image of them in the club. All the way through, we're talking about a guy who's wearing white shorts. And we can see that William Locke in the club is wearing white shorts. And Adam O'Brien, the man they suspect is the man in the white shorts, is wearing black shorts. So these kind of things really jumped out to us as serious failings in the police investigation.
All of this you've put together, you've got a longer documentary, 24 minutes, The Punch, on YouTube, for those of you who want to go and watch more and look at the case that you've presented, you and your team, with the blessing of the Jeffreys families and those involved. And talking to Charlotte, she's very clear about what she wants to happen now. She wants some kind of reaction from UK authorities, and she hopes this other potential suspect to speak out, cooperate in whatever way he can, because for her and Matt's friends, true justice they don't feel has been served.
Yeah, and I think, look, when we first met the family, they'd been through a lot. They've been through 6 years, and I don't think they've really welcomed the idea of, look, there's someone else out there who might be a suspect. I think that was
exhausting for them.
I just think that was just so much to put on them, actually, and they've taken it really well. And I think now they need time to reflect. I don't think they can expect much from the Greek authorities. We certainly had no response from them. But there are local police, and if you think about it, actually all the evidence is here. You know, the witnesses are here, the people who gave those testimonies. The video is accessible here. The CCTV is accessible here. So everything could be gathered and investigated in this country. And I think perhaps that will be something I said. And I know one thing that Charlotte said to you and has mentioned to me, you know, if this guy who we're saying is potentially got suspicion on him, he could come out and help the authorities, and he could say, look, it's not me, or he could talk to the authorities. I think that the family would, you know, certainly welcome him talking to the police.
OK. Jason, thank you. As I said, The Punch available on YouTube, and you can see it here on Sky News at 9 o'clock on Friday night. Jason Farrell, thank you. Now, in other news today, the Defence Secretary has warned that a Russian spy ship is currently stationed on the edge of UK waters. John Healey saying it's the second time this year Moscow has deployed the vessel close to Britain, and that crew members on the ship had directed lasers at RAF pilots to distract them. Well, it comes as MPs warn the country doesn't have a plan to protect itself from attack, despite ongoing threats from both Russia and China, as our international affairs editor Dominic Waghorn reports.
This is the Yantar being stalked by the Royal Navy in 2018. It may not look much, but beneath its scruffy exterior, this is Russia's most advanced spy ship, bristling with surveillance and intelligence gathering technology. And now back on the edge of British waters, prompting this warning from the UK's Defence Secretary.
My message to Russia and to Putin is this: we see you, we know what you're doing, and if the Yantar travels south this week, we are ready.
The Yantar can map and potentially attack undersea cables and pipelines off our coast. But also worrying defence officials this time, RAF planes sent to track the Yantar were attacked with dazzling lasers.
We deployed a Royal Navy frigate and RAF P-8 planes to monitor and track this vessel's every move, during which the Yantar directed lasers at our pilots. That Russian action is deeply dangerous.
Russians are thought to have used lasers against Royal Navy ships before, but not flight crews. It is, say military experts, a worrying development.
I mean, if this had been used to dazzle a pilot of an aircraft and that aircraft had subsequently crashed, then maybe the case could be made like not only was this hostile, but it was fundamentally an armed attack because it had the same impact as if you'd launched a weapon. I think the government's probably publicising it in order to build up a case that demonstrates the Russians do not act professionally.
Britain's Ministry of Defence has released this thermal image of the Yantar. Sky's data and forensics team has analysed it. It shows the A-frame of the boat used to deploy underwater equipment in its operating position. Strong evidence the Yantar was engaged in underwater surveillance at the time the photo was taken. But in a statement this evening, the Russian embassy in London said the endless accusations and suspicions of the British leadership only raise a smile. The actions of our country do not affect the interests of the United Kingdom and are not aimed at undermining its security. We are not interested in British underwater communications. The developments come as Russia intensified attacks on Ukraine, with devastating airstrikes in the far west of the country. Cruise missiles and drones hitting a block of flats, killing at least 25 people, including 3 children. Russia's relentless aggression continues while it prods NATO countries with a range of hybrid provocations, preparing potentially for more open conflict. Dominic Waghorn, Sky News.
So to come on the UK tonight, Barnet Council's leader apologises over the care sector failings that led to the death of 18-year-old Nita Grabovskite.
we are under Israeli military restrictions in terms of some of the things that we can film, but it's important to be in there. What a slow drive for the president as he approaches his golf club.
4 more years!
Free wherever you get your news. I'm Mark Stone and I'm Sky's correspondent based here in Washington, D.C.
Former Metropolitan Police officer David Carrick has been found guilty of molesting a 12-year-old girl and raping a former partner. The ex-armed officer is already serving a life sentence after admitting to more than 70 instances of sexual violence against 12 different women over a period of 17 years. Well, our correspondent Amelia Harper is here now with more on these latest charges against him. What can you tell us?
Well, what we know is David Carrick is someone who is a serial rapist. He was obviously in the Metropolitan Police, and we now know that his offending has been going on for over 3 decades, making him one of the UK's worst sex offenders. And today he was found guilty of sexually abusing a 12-year-old girl and a former partner of his. He was previously convicted of multiple sexual assaults in 2023, and now today he's been convicted of molesting this 12-year-old in the late 1980s and raping a woman during a relationship over 20 years later. In terms of his previous convictions, he was given multiple life sentences with a minimum term of 32 years for 71 sex offences, and these latest allegations came forward after he pleaded guilty to those offences in 2023. This is arrest footage that we are seeing here. And in terms of what happened in court, jurors deliberated for 5 hours and found him guilty of 9 offences, including 5 counts of indecent assault, 2 of rape, 1 of sexual assault, and 1 of controlling or coercive behaviour. He will be sentenced on Thursday.
OK, Amelia, thank you. Amelia Harper there with the latest on that. Thank you. Now, last week, you will remember the story of Nanita Grabowski, who died just days after her 18th birthday. And her death exposed a care sector in crisis. Nanita was failed by the authorities that were supposed to be looking after her, particularly her corporate parent, Barnet Council. Well, now the leader there has told Sky News the council are sorry for what happened and lessons must be learned. A warning that this report from our People and Politics correspondent, Nick Martin, contains references to suicide.
In December 2023, 18-year-old Nanita Grabowski took her own life. She was in the care of Barnet Council, her corporate parent. A coroner found that failings in her care contributed to her death. Now the council's leader has agreed to answer questions about the case, and another 2 care leavers who it's emerged died within a year of Nanita.
Is the council sorry for failing Nanita in such a catastrophic way?
I think with any tragedy, there is an element of failure across different agencies and so on. And the important thing is learning from it.
I just want to know, are you sorry? Is the council sorry for the way that it failed Nanita so catastrophically?
We're sorry for what happened. We do realise there have been some failures by different agencies, including the council. It shouldn't happen and we need to learn about that.
Do you think Barnet fulfilled its corporate parenting duties towards these things?
Each one is a tragedy. I mean, there might be times...
That's not what I asked.
No,
do you think that the council fulfilled its corporate parenting duties?
You can ask the question, but the answers are mine. Each one's a tragedy.
I'm just asking whether...
Do you think so to fulfil?
Did you fulfil your corporate parenting duties to these 3 young people? It's a very simple question.
If they would be alive if we did. I have a special responsibility as leader of the council. Obviously, if you can turn the clock back, you wouldn't want this to happen. But if we don't learn the lessons, it's even more of a waste. It's a waste anyway. It's a waste of a young life.
It's been 2 years since Nanita's death, but the council has been criticised for keeping the details of her case to only a small group of councillors and senior officers.
Should there be more scrutiny within the council?
Yes, I think that is possibly one of the lessons learned, certainly about better scrutiny and more intense scrutiny.
This looks like a council that doesn't want people poring over its failures. This is a council that is being accused of a culture of silence and cover-up.
And it looks exactly like that. Do you accept that?
No,
You don't?
I don't even see how you can reach that conclusion. I honestly don't. We do need to look at what we did, what we could have done better, and taken more responsibility.
In the weeks leading up to her death, crucial support was taken from Nanita as she left care. She was completely in the dark about where she was going to live. She had no mental health support.
And
she was all alone in December, and she took her own life, and you were responsible for her care.
Yes, and it failed. And obviously, that is quite happy to say, I'm sorry it failed.
Anybody watching this, and specifically if they live in Barnet, how can they have confidence in this council's ability to look after vulnerable children when 3 vulnerable young people have died in a year? They must look at this council and go, there's a problem here.
And that's why, for me, learning the lessons is the real key.
We hear that a lot. We hear learning lessons a lot. Your opposition councillors, not surprisingly, say, well, you're the leader, you should resign. Do you see a reason to resign?
No, I see a reason to learn the lessons and ensure that we make sure we have a better system that includes councillors more often.
So three care leaver deaths in a year is not a reason to resign?
No, I see it, but I am best placed to make sure that the right lessons are learned and we start making a bigger difference to young people's lives and give them the support we can.
Well, Nick is here with me in the studio to react to that interview, Nick, because I know that you and your team, your producer Fiona and your cameraman Andy, have been working on Nanita's story for months now and have repeatedly asked her corporate parent to engage in the story that you were putting together, and they refused to. Up until now, it's very rare that we hear from a corporate parent when it comes to stories like this, stories about care, isn't it?
Well, this is the first time that Barnet Council have even acknowledged publicly what happened to Nanita Grabowskaite. And it's not just that. It's the first time that councillors, many councillors, in fact, the vast majority of councillors in the council heard about Nanita. In fact, the first time people heard about it was when our film came out. The chief executive of the council emailed councillors and said, Sky News are putting a documentary out. And councillors went, who's Nanita? And the reason for that is that the discussion about her death and the review into it was kept to a very close-knit group of 1 or 2 councillors and some senior council officers. Now, in some cases, there are good reasons for that. These are vulnerable children and there are sensitive issues. But many people in the council have been asking, where has been the scrutiny? Where are the questions that we want to put to the council about what on earth happened to Nanita? There's been no scrutiny, no debate, there's no minutes, there's no record of any conversations, and that really does call into question an issue of transparency. Now, what I think this case does show as we go on and keep reporting is I think it is a glimpse into how the lives and deaths of care leavers are discussed within councils. And on the basis of what we know here, it's kept very close to the chest.
Because during that conversation with the council leader, you were made aware of another 2 young lives lost after leaving the care of Barnet Council. And I just want to pick up on that phrase, lesson learned. And again, we reflected it in our coverage last week. Whenever a young person is failed by children's services, care services, their corporate parent, there is a report, an inquiry, lessons will be learned, we move on, this will never happen again, and sadly it does. And we heard that phrase there, lessons will be learned. What we didn't hear from the council leader is how our Barnet Council going to do better. We don't seem to hear that bit of the plan, do we? The tangible actions that are going to save young lives.
The council could say, we are going to learn lessons until the cows come home. But if they don't present that to the public, if they don't publish their findings, then it's really quite meaningless. Now, we know that there were 2 reviews carried out into Nanita's death. Now, while those reviews were carried out, in the months after her death, 2 more care leavers died in the care of Barnet Council. Young person E, they haven't been named, and young person R. Now, they are under review as well, and there are going to be inquests into those 2 young people. So in the space of 13 months, in this one council alone, we've had 3 care leavers, all 18 years old, all in the first year of leaving care, die under questionable circumstances. Now, the council say that they're going to now publish these reviews in the next few weeks. Last week, when our documentary was aired, councillors called for an emergency meeting. But it's important to say, Sarah-Jane, that Barnet Council is not by any means an outlier in this. There are hundreds of councils across Britain who have corporate parenting duties, and these conversations are going on in councils as we speak. And I think what we have shown is the need for greater transparency, because if you don't learn lessons and publish them quickly, then that actually increases the risk for those children who are still in the system. And Nanita's case is an example of that. Nanita dies, they carry out a review, and then 2 more die within the space of a year. And some councillors at Barnet have questioned whether, if the council had been more open and more upfront, could these deaths have been prevented?
OK. Nick, thank you so much. Nick Martin there, bringing us the latest on Nanita's story. And remember, if you've been affected by this story, you can contact the Samaritans at any time. Their number is 116123, or you can email joe@samaritans.org. Still to come on the programme, as Scotland qualify for their first World Cup in 28 years. We'll be hearing from some of those who were there the last time they made it, back in 1998. Now, for the first time this century, Scotland's men's team will compete at the World Cup after a thrilling 4-2 win over Denmark in Glasgow last night. 2 goals in added time ensured automatic qualification to next year's tournaments, the first for the Tartan Army since 1998. Well, let's bring in Neil Forbes, a Scotland fan who was at last night's game, and former goalkeeper Jim Leighton, who joins us as well. He's Scotland's second most capped player of all time and played in their last World Cup back in 1998. Good to see you, gentlemen. And first of all, congratulations. I want to know if I'm catching you just before you go to bed or whether you go out to celebrate again. Neil, I'll come to you first.
No, I'll be going to bed shortly, I think, Sarah. I'm still hoarse and got a sore throat from last night.
Yeah, talk to me about what it was like to be there.
Oh, it was just a fantastic atmosphere. I don't think I've seen Hampden bounce so much in many, many years. I think 2007, the Italy game in the Euro Championships was the last time I've seen it as rowdy and satisfying. It was just absolutely amazing atmosphere at the last 5 minutes, yeah.
I can tell you're still buzzing. Jim, I saw somebody say today that they witnessed last night the 3 best goals in Scotland's history in one game.
Yeah, well, we probably needed them as well. And it was just, as Neil said, it was a fabulous night and it was great to be there. I was there myself. And it looked as if Denmark were going to get the point that they needed. Until the 2 boys come up and scored and added on time. But it's typical Scotland. We don't do anything the easy way. We always pick a hard way of doing it. But like Neil said, I've been going to Hampden for 50 years and I've never heard a noise like the last, 5 minutes of the game. It was just a great atmosphere and it was great to be there.
Yeah, Jim, you're in a unique position. You've been on the field and, in the stands watching as well. How does that game compare to qualifying, say, the last time, back in 1998?
Well, the 3 times that I've been fortunate enough to play in games that we qualified, they didn't quite go as late on as that. We were quite comfortable in the other games, but none of us had any fingernails left. It was great that the boys come up. And as you said, the standard of goals was unbelievable in the game. But we probably haven't played as well in the games that we would like to have played. But in patches we've played really well and we've scored a lot of goals. So all credit to the boys. And if you want to be a footballer, you want to have a World Cup on your CV, and it's going to be fabulous for these boys that are now going to represent our very passionate country in the World Cup next year.
Yeah, I was reading today that Scotland's goalkeeper was actually thinking about retiring, and now here he finds himself potentially going to the World Cup next year. For both of you, last night was a I was there moment, but, you've had that before. There is a whole generation that's never seen Scotland at a World Cup, but for those of you, myself included, we can remember back as far as 1998. It wasn't that long ago for some of us. But, what's it going to be like for you this time around, do you think, Neil? Are you as excited as you were back in 98? Is there more excitement around this Scotland team?
Oh, yes. The qualification situation, I think, was far more exciting this time. As Jim had said, we've not played the best football, but we've been clinical in many occasions. And to be honest, the 3 goals from McTominay, McLean and Tierney, but worth their winning any match, any World Championship match. It was just stunning goals, absolutely great atmosphere. It just lifted the roof of Hampden.
Yeah, Jim, we are some way off from the World Cup yet in terms of this squad that Steve Clarke's put together, this team. Do you see it changing much between now and then? Because, of course, the sort of magic moments from last night, a lot of the fans are going to be clinging on to that.
Yeah, Stevie Clarke's very loyal to his players. And, even some of the players who are not playing week in, week out in their own club first team, and he's very loyal to keep picking them. So anything can happen in the next 6 months, and you hope injuries will be fortunate to the players. But I don't really see a lot of changes. He's kept the squad together. There's a lot of caps in the team. There's a lot of experience in the team. And I'm sure they'll be looking forward to it as much as Neil and I are.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Clarke's face at the end was an absolute picture in terms of you work so hard for something, win it in such dramatic fashion, and you're off to the World Cup. The pressure's off your shoulders a little bit. You know, you have been there, Jim. You've been to a World Cup. Just how much would this mean to those players and the manager, as well as the fans, obviously?
Well, everybody in Scotland has waited all this time. And as I say, we did it the hard way. We've eventually got there. So we can relax and enjoy it now. As Stevie Clark said, we don't need to worry about a playoff in March. So the boys can relax, enjoy, and then start looking forward, probably from the turn of the year, to a World Cup, which is the pinnacle of any footballer's career. I've been fortunate to play against Brazil twice in the World Cup, and it doesn't get any better than that. But we could actually do without playing against Brazil this time, because we've had Brazil 3 in the last 4 times. So I think we could do a wee bit an easier group this time.
Neil, tickets. Can we talk tickets yet? Were you one of those confident enough to try and get tickets before Scotland's qualification?
Well, I'm a member of the Scottish Supporters Club, and I've not missed a game since 2007. So I think I'm one of 6 to 8 on 32 points. So I think I'll be pretty confident in getting tickets through the Scotland Supporters Club and be there, definitely.
Yeah, you got your fingers crossed, because I would imagine they're going to be quite hard to come by. Neil, you sound like you're well placed. And Jim, I would imagine you are as well. But for the regular Scottish fan, these are going to be the hottest tickets in town next year.
Yeah, very much so. But World Cup tickets always are. I remember when I was playing leading up to 98, and a couple of boys asked me in the opposition at corners if I had any spare tickets. So that's how desperate that everybody will be for tickets. But the Scotland fans are the best fans in the world, and there'll be an awful lot more than will actually have tickets be there. There'll be about treble that amount, and they'll be going to fan places to watch it, as well as there's so many expats for English over there as well. So we'll have some amount of numbers over there, and say we're the best supporters in the world, and we'll enhance any competition.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of support wherever you look, but the Tartan Army do travel well when they get the chance to. And just finally, a quick word from you both. There have been calls for a national holiday on the day of the first game. Is this something you support?
Oh, definitely. I'm still working, so I'll definitely have a day off.
Neil, do you fancy the day off? You'll probably be there, won't you? Neil, fancy a national holiday?
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm self-employed, still working as well, like Jim. But my diary's now closed off already for the first 3 games in the championship.
Yeah, exactly. Give yourself a holiday for that first game. Give yourself a holiday. Listen, really good to talk to you. Neil Forbes, a big Scotland fan, and Jim Leighton, former Scotland player, second most cap player, 91 appearances for Scotland. Great to talk to you tonight, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Still to come on the UK tonight, we're going to take a look ahead to the first test of the Ashes in Perth. It's happening on Friday. Are you staying up for it?
I'm Deborah Haynes, Sky Security and Defence Editor. The reality of life under Russian fire. People don't want to leave, even though help is here to evacuate them. They say they want to sort out their belongings first. It's absolute chaos. Fire, shouts the commander. There's a dash to safety as Russian drones will be trying to find this position.
We've now got to wait inside the shelter to see if there is incoming.
I've been covering Russia's full-scale war since it began, witnessing the terror and the trauma.
When rockets fall, I try to hide my head under my toys.
Illustrating Ukraine's lost childhood, hopes and dreams framed by war. Conflict in the Middle East is another major focus.
An incredibly dangerous moment.
We saw the missiles streaking across the sky. We saw the intercept going up, and then we saw the explosions when the intercepts were successful.
With global threats rising, I also explored defence and security in the UK and across NATO. This US aircraft carrier is operating in European waters in a deliberate show of force. This is routine training for NATO, but should Russia's war with Ukraine escalate significantly, pilots like these could be called upon to go into combat for real.
Tucked
tucked away in the National Archives are some of the UK's old defence plans. The scale of this bunker underlines how seriously governments took the threat of nuclear attack and global conflict. Should allies listen to Vladimir Putin's sabre-rattling?
No, they shouldn't, and they don't.
Sky News, the full story first.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story.
I'm ready. Are you?
Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
David Garrido is here with the sport. And we're only going to talk about the Ashes, really, because there's not long to go until Friday's first Ashes test. I've been speaking to a lot of people who are making plans for Friday night into Friday morning. My husband informs me he's going to a poker night, hoping to stay awake. My money is on him falling asleep.
Oh, I've
the
done
first
it
couple of overs.
so many times. So I've just
Good
kind of really built up. Yeah, built up, and then suddenly, before they've reached lunch over in Perth, you're like just dozing off.
That's what the highlights are for. That's what the highlights are for.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But there's been a surprise call-up to England's 12-man squad. Or what can you tell us about that?
OK, so it is Shoaib Bashir. He's 20 years of age. He's England's first-choice spinner. And you know, he was for a while, like, you know, the man really in form. He became the youngest England bowler to take 50 Test wickets in May this year. But he hasn't played since the third Test against India. He's had this broken finger as well. And I think most crucially, he struggled in the warm-up against Lions. He was very expensive as a bowler, only took 2 wickets. I think, really, the question is, should he play or Bryden Carse, who's one of the fast bowlers? It was a question of Bashir over Jacks, who can also spin the ball, but actually looks now it's between whether England do play a spinner, bit of dryness in the pitch, I think maybe it might turn, or do they go for an all-out pace attack? Which will be fascinating to see, because you've got 5 bowlers who can all touch 90 miles an hour. You've got Jofra Archer, Mark Wood, Ben Stokes, Bryden Carse and Gus Atkinson, and that would be a big signal of intent for England to go, no, we are going for it. We haven't won an Ashes over here since 2010-11, so this would be kind of the kind of full aggression way to start. So it's still that choice, 12-man squad, someone's going to miss out, but, you know, it looks like it could well be.
Yeah, so much to talk about before, you know, a ball is even bowled. And one of the things people are discussing is, you mentioned Ben Stokes there. Is he going to be fit, the captain?
Yeah, he's back to full fitness. I had a shoulder injury that kept him out of the last Test against India. I think the worrying thing is he hasn't completed any of the last 4 series for England because he's had some sort of injury issue. But he says, I've come into the series fully taking on that all-rounder role with bat and ball. I've worked very, very hard to make sure when I'm playing, I'm able to give that full commitment to that role, just because I know how much of an impact it makes towards the team and balances the side out. He is absolutely up for this, and we know.
Then we're going to stay up for it.
And we're going to stay up for it. We're going to try.
He's up for it. We're staying up for it.
We're absolutely going to try. So that's as far as the cricket is concerned. Plenty more making sporting headlines this evening as well.
Staying connected is vital for business. Sky Business sponsors this report.
OK. Are you ready? Yep.
35 prisoners were released from Barlini prison this morning, but only 1 left in a limousine.
Duncan spoke about the letters he's had when he was in prison, and that created a bond between Duncan and Everton.
It's not just words. I love them, and I'll always love them.
It's the story which has gripped Merseyside. Walter Smith's future on the line. The Everton boss apparently close to quitting over the multi-million-pound sale of captain Duncan Ferguson to Newcastle.
We were under pressure from the bank to get the overdraft down.
It upset me. You try to move on. It's not easy for me. I couldn't rub off my tattoo, could I?
The fans adore him. Then all of a sudden, a crash bang wallop. He's playing with the striped shirt on.
A fan had came into the training ground, burst into reception, sat herself on a seat and refused to move until Duncan Ferguson was re-signed.
It was a bit of shock once your club doesn't want you. Really, it's inevitable. You've got to move, haven't you?
What signing for Rangers, Duncan?
Brilliant.
Sky Business sponsors this report.
Time for a quick look at the weather. The country now flooded with cold air from the Arctic, which is bringing our first taste of winter with temperatures well below average, severe frost and wintry showers. That cold is now spreading south through France to northern parts of Iberia. There are numerous yellow warnings for snow and ice, but more importantly, there's an early amber warning for heavy snow and blizzard conditions over northeastern England tomorrow. This evening, mostly fine for inland parts of mainland UK, with temperatures plummeting under clear skies. Coastal showers, they'll continue falling as snow over Scotland and Northern Ireland, and potentially a sleet or snow further south. Overnight, a widespread and severe frost for most of us. East Anglia and the southeast will be slightly milder under the cloud cover there. That's all from the UK tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Up next, it's The World with Yalda Hakim. Remember, you can head to the website skynews.com to watch The Punch from Jason Farrell. We'll see you tomorrow.